My daughter saved them and we put them on a drive at home so that we could protect them.
When Beth SLED Bowling left Indiana for South Carolina,
There's so many videos.
she knew it was going to be a tough trip. She had a funeral to plan. She had to make sure her sister-in-law was cared for. She also had to figure out what she needed to do to make sure her brother's estate was intact, so her sister-in-law could afford the around-the-clock care she needed for the rest of her life. When Bowling and her daughter got to her brother's home, the first people they met at the top of the driveway, Charlotte Green and Tammy Bullock. You soon learned that there's someone fairly important at the house.
Yes. Pretty quickly, one of the people introduces herself, and then she says, well, I'm the probate judge. And I say, okay, good. We're probably going to need to work together then.
To be clear, that she is Tammy Bullock, and she wasn't the probate judge.
So, if anything comes up and you need to, you let them know. You let them know that his secretary for the past 30 years is now a probate judge, and if they need me.
Bullock at the time worked in the Marlboro County Probate Judge's office and had been appointed, but her oath of office and her own Facebook page show she wasn't sworn in as the county's deputy probate judge until March 15th, 7 weeks after this meeting in Hollis Slade's driveway. So you thought you had help on scene?
Yes.
Were you relieved to know that someone who could take charge was there?
Yes. I actually thought, okay, God's, providing what I'm going to need to get through this, because this is going to be hard.
It was nearly 2 months later before she was sworn in as a deputy probate judge. Did that send off any alarm bells?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That basically confirmed what I was already figuring out from her activity at the house. Something's awry here. Something's not on the up and up.
At the time, Beth SLED Bowling had no reason to suspect anything of any of the people at her brother's home. She thought they were his grieving friends. That's until the family had a chance to talk alone with Linda Hood, Joyce's former caretaker.
The caretaker said to me there were some things that had been taken out of the house that she thought I ought to get back fairly quickly. A handgun, a checkbook, a Ziploc bag full of cash, and the truck keys. At this point, we hadn't figured out all the players and what was happening, but that was concerning to me. It was like, why did they take those things out of the house?
This recording shows Hood was likely telling the truth. Charlotte Green was at the back of this truck. And the video captured her admission that she took the pistol from the exact spot where the caretaker said she hid it.
And I took Miss Joyce's money and Hollis's money, and I put it in a sandwich bag, one of the quarts or the gallons. It was the big one.
How big would you estimate the bag with your hands? How big was it?
About like this. It was one of the big ones, and it was loaded with money.
A gallon bag?
A gallon bag. So I took all the money and put it in a bag and stuck it in the middle of her dresser. Well, I went back Sunday morning. Charlotte told me she got all the money. They got Miss Joyce's pistol. It was a .38.
Hollis Slade hired Linda Hood to care for his wife, Joyce. She'd been with the family since 2017. Hood stayed overnight with Joyce Slade the night her husband died and left the next morning.
They told me to go home and get rest, but I would stay with her at night. They would come early in the morning, and when I get there, stuff was disappearing. Stuff was getting gone.
So when you left the house in the morning, when you got back that night, there were things missing out of the house.
It was cleared. The living room was cleared.
SLED Bowling messaged Charlotte Green asking her to return the things Linda Hood said they'd taken. The next day, SLED Bowling says Ricky Gardner handed her this box, a box that also belonged to Hollis Slade. So they did have property that belonged to your brother with them?
Yes. He returned a box with a Ziploc of cash, the handgun, and I think by then somebody had already brought the truck keys back.
I will tell you what you told the family that was missing, they got back.
They got the money back, a little bit of money.
And the pistol.
And the pistol. They got a little bit of money because she showed me that bag and the jury box. They got the money that was in the jury box. No, all that money wasn't in there.
So there was a lot less money given to the family than you collected in that house.
They took it.
The cameras continued rolling, capturing the group talking about other things that belonged to Hollis SLED.
It's kind of like you got $2,000 worth of tracking collars sitting in there.
What about all the money in the bank?
It's unreal. They didn't tell it. That 401k stack. I hate to leave $2,000 worth of tracking collars and 2 garments sitting there. Swear I hate to leave all this.
It's going to be sad if somebody else comes.
Brother, you know he didn't want him to have it.
He didn't want him to have it.
I know he didn't want him to have it. I heard him say it.
They even joked about taking something out of Hollis SLED's truck.
Oh, me and Timmy got 4 packs of cigarettes out there, so we figured he didn't need them no more.
Well, I know where a whole bunch of them are.
And that talk continued until minutes before SLED's family arrived.
I said, I'm not going to leave it when he's sitting in that house for complete strangers to come in and you don't know what's going on with it. I said, you got to be paid? I said, his wife has got to be paid? I said, that paper is in the paper. Oh, yeah. It's on the stupid. It says return. It's like almost $200,000. She don't need to know that.
SLED had around 30 foxhounds and funded a hunting kennel that he, Ricky Gardner, and Matthew Tomlinson were all part of. One of the videos shows Gardner walking out of the house with what appeared to be a registration certificate for one of Hollis SLED's hounds.
It looks just like this turned upside down. I think that's definitely it. It has the same border. It has the seal. It looks like Hunter's horn there. I think it's got to be dog certificates.
In those hunting collars Ricky Gardner mentioned earlier, the videos show Gardner walking out with a box with Garmin stamped across it. SLED had a rack built by his front door where he stored around 30 other collars. The same door where cameras captured Ricky Gardner carrying this large plastic tub out toward his truck. We could not confirm whether Gardner owned any of those collars.
These are the boxes that proves that Hollis had collars. They're the Garmin's TT15s and they're the Garmin's TT10s.
After finding the videos, the SLED family fired Linda Hood and put everyone in the videos on trespass notice.
See, this is a whole entire set.
The family hired Kath Shockley to stay with Joyce SLED and to work to figure out what left the SLED home in those boxes.
These are completely different sets right here. That's the TT10s. And it also has the dog's names on them too. When he said $2,000 worth, he was correct. Okay, we have this. Where is this? Again, I'm missing, product. See, there's guts right there.
But the unit's missing?
Right. So that's why I've kept all these boxes and gathered them together and put things together to make sure that, I was correct on missing items because I didn't want to, start saying something was gone when it really wasn't.
But now he had a wooden rack by the front door and it had electric dog collars. And they cost a lot of money. And he used them when they went to the pens with his dog. Well, they got gone. The regular dog collars got gone. The wormer, all the liquid stuff, anything that pertained to a dog, they got it.
We asked every person in these videos for an interview, and we asked multiple times. We wanted to make sure each one had a chance to explain what these videos show. The only response we got was from Ricky Gardner, who directed us to his attorney, but his attorney never responded to our outreach. We also asked Judge Bullock to meet with us, but she wouldn't stop long enough to talk. We sent her multiple emails, texts, and called her office. We waited a week for her to respond before we took the interview to her courthouse. Well, we missed her. Bullock took off as soon as she spotted us. She came back a few minutes later with a Bennettsville police escort. We then went inside to finish our interview and found Judge Bullock's boss, probate judge Mark Heath, at the door. Hey, Judge.
Good morning.
How you doing?
Great.
We'd like to talk to you about Judge Bullock if you've got a second.
No comment. If you got any questions, you see her attorney, Mr. Wait, write it down. And I want you to write your information down.
We will. We'll be glad to do that. Who's her attorney?
Mr. Wade R. Crow.
Wade Crow, an attorney in town, is now Tammy Bullock's attorney, but he was Joyce Slade's guardian ad litem until May. When we reached out, Attorney Crow told us he ordered Judge Bullock to not make any statements to us about this case. We also learned Bullock's boss, Judge Heath, was told about these allegations in January.
This was text to the probate judge, Mark Heath.
Bobby Norris was Hollis Slade's neighbor. He also officiated Slade's funeral.
This is actually the text that I sent him to give me a call back.
When Norris found out about Bullock's claim she was the county's probate judge, he got on the phone with Judge Heath to tell him what happened.
I saw the girls out here saying she's the probate judge and she was in charge of it. I said, I didn't know that was going on. New one on me. And I've been here all my life and I pretty well know what's going on in the town. That's one thing I do.
What we're here about is there's some criminal allegations been made against her. There are.
Not aware of them. Haven't been advised of them.
Well, you have.
Need to go to the sheriff's department.
Did Bobby Norris not call you in January and have a discussion with you on January 29th?
No comment.
Norris says Heath assured him he'd investigate. But 7 weeks later, Judge Heath swore Tammy Bullock in as his deputy judge. Well, that's why we're here, Judge. It's not to cause you any problems. We want to make sure that you and Ms. Judge Bullock both have an opportunity to respond. So.
Okay. And thank you, but we really don't have a response. There's not enough information at this point.
Do you care to know? I'm happy to share with you what we have.
I don't want to have any hearsay. I'll hear it in a court.
Well, we've got video. This is all video recorded. This isn't just some hearsay.
Okay.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Did they have any business being in that house, carrying anything out, going through that house looking for a will or whatever they were doing inside?
I don't believe so. I don't think that it was their place. I don't think it was their right. I don't think my brother would have wanted that.
You think Joyce got taken advantage of?
Yes, absolutely. Joyce got taken advantage of. I have no doubt about that.
Is this a case of had these people never gone in there, never taken one box out of that house, you would not have a question about something being missing today or who may have taken it?
Accurate. Yeah, that's totally accurate.
How you doing, Joyce?
The day Tammy Bullock was sworn into office, Ricky Gardner and Charlotte Green paid Joyce Slade one last visit. This time, Kath Shockley stood guard. The same cameras that captured everything the weekend of Hollis Slade's death also showed the people in those recordings were strangers to his wife.
I don't even know who they are.
And I know that the position it put Joyce in, being in the house while all that was going on, was, I don't know, atrocious. I think that was awful.
When you drove into Marlboro County, South Carolina, did you ever anticipate that 8 months later you'd be dealing with something like this?
Absolutely not.